this time. The first item on our agenda is citizen comment. This is open for citizens to be heard on any issue or concern. If you'd like to speak on a specific item that's already on the agenda, please wait until the citizen comment period for that item. For all citizen comments, please fill out a speaker card, hand it to staff. The cards are on this round table over here to my right, your left. Take it to staff, they'll get it to me. You'll come up to the microphone, state your name and address, and try to limit your comments to 2 minutes. I already have one comment card here. Are there any citizens who want to speak to the commission on any other item that's not on the agenda? Okay, I see none. Agenda item number 1, the minutes. The minutes from the January 12th, 2025 meeting. I would entertain a motion to approve those.
Move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
Brian, thank you. Michael, thank you. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's vote. All those in favor of approval of the January 12th, 2025 minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. All right, item number 2, consideration of signage, convenience sign at 118 4th Avenue North. Michael Evans is the applicant. Mr. Evans wants to come forward. Not here yet? Okay, let's go to item number 3 and we'll come back when we see them come in. Item number 3, consideration of window alterations at 305 3rd Avenue South, Kevin Coffee. If you want to go ahead and head up, we'll hear from Emily first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The property at 305 3rd Avenue South is located in the downtown Franklin National Register Historic District. The proposal includes the replacement of 2 windows on the right elevation. The replacement of the 1/1 window does not appear to have enough information for staff to provide a recommendation. However, the replacement of the existing pair of double-hung 8/8 windows with a larger pair of 8/8 windows does align with the guidelines. Therefore, staff recommends deferral of the replacement of the 1/1 window due to a lack of information, and then staff recommends approval of the window replacement of the 8/8 pair of windows with conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Coffee,
Hi,
good afternoon.
how are you?
Good.
Good. I think that if you look at the best reference to look at is the sheet that has the 3 elevations on it to start out with. And we're shooting for that middle one. The top elevation is the existing condition, and the middle one is the new window. It happens to be at a breakfast area that changes a 1/1 window to an 8/8 that's in keeping with all the rest of the windows on the house, pretty much, at least in the old parts of the house. And then the modification of a window at the kitchen area from a smaller pair of double hungs to one that's a little bit larger that basically sits on the kitchen counter in the kitchen and then goes up to the original header height. So that window has been previously modified, and I have plenty of pictures in there that show it's pretty obvious that it's been modified. And then kind of last second, we found an old appraisal that actually showed a picture of the pair of windows, and as we suspected, they were taller windows. So we want to use that same opening. Our window is not going to be quite as tall as the original, but very close. The bottom of the window just sitting on the sill of an existing kitchen counter, but very close. There was one point that we talked about in design review, and I told everybody that these windows had limestone headers and limestone sills, and they do not. They're wood. And so we are going to replace those in kind. So this pair of windows that we're replacing actually has a modified header and a cast sill, and we're going to go back with the wood header and the wood sill to match the rest. We want to keep all the same window profiles. I'm just going to have Vintage Millwork make windows for me to match the old ones and put them in there. So that's what I got.
Perfect. Thank you very much. If you'll grab a seat for us. Are there any citizens who wish to comment on this particular application? Okay, I don't see anyone. Let's go to the commission for a motion, please. We can do that. Let's do the pair first. If anybody wants to make a motion on the replacement of the shorter windows with longer 8/8s.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve with staff comments.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Okay, Madeline, thank you very much. Any discussion?
The only thing I would make a comment on is that the applicant has done a good job, and I think presenting us with what is there and replacing the window with close to enough to what was there before.
Sure. And I like the discussion of head and sill details kind of coming back to where they probably were. Anybody else?
I agree.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, you have a motion for approval with staff comments that was made and seconded. All those in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. That was particular to the 8/8 pair. Let's take up the 1/1 replacement with an 8/8. If anybody wants to make a motion on that.
I move to approve it if it's the same window as the other ones, like with the grid pattern that matches the other ones.
Okay.
And I'll second that.
Okay. Thank you, Madeline. Holly for the motion. All right, any discussion? So we have, it's approval with staff conditions. Is that right? And then you made mention of matching the mullion proportions, basically. I think it is a longer window, correct?
Slightly.
A little bit longer,
Couple inches
just
longer.
naturally longer. Okay.
Longer than what?
We just approved 2 windows to make them longer.
Right.
The one to the left of it that's in question, the 1/1, is just a longer window than
Yeah.
those.
But it'll be the same size as the new double.
No, the new double it will still be shorter
Oh, okay.
by about a foot.
Okay.
Does that look, is that about
Oh,
right?
okay, I see, yeah.
Yeah. So this is just taking the 1/1 out and replacing it with an 8/8 in the same masonry opening. Is that the correct understanding that staff and the applicant have? Everybody's nodding yes. You still feel the same about your motion with that in mind and your second? Okay.
I have other questions. I know staff brought that up, that we'd like to know more information about that window. If I'm right, that addition's a 1908 roughly addition. I'm wondering, on that window, is it from 1908? Was it replaced at a later time? These are things that I would like to know to make a decision as to whether that window is replaced or not.
Okay.
Does it have a weight pocket? Are there pulleys for those weights? I mean, is it from that period of 1908?
And maybe some better pictures would help us at least.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
An
ma'am.
additional comment too would be, what is the window profile? Is it similar to the more historical portion of the house, the other windows? Does it have a similar profile
Sure.
as the others?
Okay.
Well, it doesn't. It's 1/1. And what's currently been changed out are 8/8, throughout a lot of the house. And the ones we saw in the photographs of the appraisal done in, 1993? Those were 3/1. I mean, you can tell those were probably replaced in the 1930s, 40s, somewhere like that. So you can tell there's been change over time.
Sure.
So,
And I'm not suggesting 3/1.
Mr. Chair may be corrected, not profile necessarily, but jam thickness, jam
Yeah,
header thickness.
some of the things to show that it may have been indicative of a same time period. Sure, yeah.
Is that something that would need to be an amendment?
Well, typically, if we feel like we don't have enough information, that is the reason for making a motion to defer. And the motion to defer trumps the motion on the floor. It's a privileged motion, so you all can make a motion to defer on top of the motion that's active now, or we can continue debating the motion on the floor. Is that correct, Mr. Squires?
I'll make a motion to defer.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, thank you. Mary and Bob, is there any discussion specific to why we should or should not defer?
I think what staff said, lack of information.
Okay. Anything else? Well, let's vote on the deferral. All those in favor of deferring the 1/1 window replacement until our next meeting, which is date certain of March 7th, 9th. It's a total guess. All right. All those in favor of deferral to the March 9th voting meeting, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. So we'll get to see that again next meeting and encourage the applicant to bring just some more photos and dimensional information that we can make a better judgment on what that is and its significance or not. Thank you. Okay. Yes, well, we would debate that at that time, yeah. Yeah, our guidelines would recommend you keep it at that point. Okay, let's roll back to item number 2. Did we see Mr. Evans come in? Not yet? Okay. Going to item number 4. Item 4 is consideration of alterations to a previously approved building, the parking structure at 230 Franklin Road, known as The Factory. Mr. Reed Talley's here. If you'll prepare, we will hear from Ms. Emily Huffer first, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The property located at 230 Franklin Road is home to the factory at Franklin and is located in the Franklin Road Local Historic District. The proposal to construct a new parking structure was approved by the Historic Zoning Commission in June 2025. This proposal is for alterations to the form, size, and location of the structure. The new parking structure is proposed between the existing buildings 3 and 5 on the factory campus. The parking structure will be tucked in behind the existing buildings on the site and is appropriately placed per the guidelines. Since the December Historic Zoning Commission meeting where it was deferred, the applicant has worked with the Building and Neighborhood Services Department to ensure that the placement complies with International Building Code. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the application with conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Talley. Anything you like to add to that?
No, oh, it's loud.
It's loud.
Yeah, I'll step back. Yeah, as Emily pointed out, we've resolved the code issues. But in this submission, we've made some other tweaks based on the conversation in December, specifically the openings facing Franklin Pike, which we've adjusted the openings to make sure that some of those areas are closed up in case there is perspectives from other areas from Franklin Road. And so that's it.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
If you'll grab a seat for us. Any citizens here want to comment on this one? Okay, see none. Let's go to the commission for a motion, please.
Motion to approve with staff conditions.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Thank you, Michael. Any discussion?
The only comment I'd make is that I want to commend the factory and their leaders for coming back with this plan. I think it's much better than the one that was previous, and for sticking with it and making their case.
I agree with Commissioner Laster.
Thank you,
I
Bob.
think this design is more appropriate to fit in with the entire factory complex.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else on this side? Okay, we have a motion for approval with staff conditions on the floor. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Motion passes. Okay. Let's go to item number 5, consideration of a preliminary historic zoning commission recommendation for a final plat at 208 East Main Street, 206 East Main Street, and 119 Second Avenue North. Applicant is Daniel Wolterman. They want to head up, and again, this is a preliminary recommendation, not a COA, just as a reminder for everybody. And let's hear from Elizabeth first, and then we'll hear from Mr. Wolterman.
Thank you. The buildings located at 206 and 208 East Main and 119 Second Avenue North are located in the downtown Franklin Historic District. A preliminary Historic Zoning Commission recommendation is required for preliminary plats and final plats that create new lots. The request is for a recommendation to the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission for the subdivision of the existing 2 lots into 3 lots to create a new lot around the existing building located at 119 Second Avenue North. Lot 68 currently features both of the buildings at 208 East Main Street and 119 Second Avenue North. Lot 56 currently features the existing building at 206 East Main Street. The proposed subdivision of Lot 68 will create a new lot, 56A, which will encompass the existing building at 119 Second Avenue North. No new buildable lots are being proposed with this request. The request is appropriate in light of the guidelines and does not appear to have an impact on the existing historic resources. Staff recommends that the Historic Zoning Commission make a positive preliminary recommendation for approval to the Franklin Municipal Planning Commission for the creation of new lots as proposed by preliminary plat and/or final plat. And please note, at the preliminary stage, the Historic Zoning Commission is providing an initial recommendation to the Municipal Planning Commission on whether this conceptual proposal as presented today meets the intent of the guidelines. The Historic Zoning Commission will further review any future proposals for consideration of a certificate of appropriateness. Thank you.
Thank you. And tell me if this is right. 119 is considered non-contributing?
Yes, 119 and 208 are
Okay,
not
and 206 is considered contributing?
Yes.
Okay, understood. Just thought that was important to remember. Are you Mr. Wolterman? Or his representative?
Yeah, the intent is just to create a new lot with the 119 building, and then in a future plat, planning's recommended that we split this up into 2 plats. There will be the lot, I guess it's 206, is that the one on the corner? Okay, so yeah, the one at 206 will actually add some of the parking that's in the back of it. But yeah, that's the intent of it, is to add parking to 206 and then create a separate lot with 119.
Understood. Okay. If you'll grab a seat for us, let's hear if there's any citizens who want to comment on this one. Okay, I see no one. Let's go to the commission for a motion, please.
Move for approval with staff conditions.
Okay, Michael? Brian? Any discussion on that motion?
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
Go ahead, Michael.
My biggest concern is the new lot line around lot 56. The line that's between 56 and 68. It's a lot closer to 56, and that's the building that we would be wanting to protect, as opposed to in the commercial building on the other side. So I would like to see a 10-foot offset from the building on lot 56 to allow a little more protection from that building to anything that may happen in the future on 68.
Okay. I'm writing this down to remind myself. Okay. Are you proposing some type of amendment to your motion?
I would like to amend the parcel with lot 56 to include a 10-foot offset from the building between it and lot 68.
Okay.
And I'll second.
Okay. We've got a motion to amend the main motion that's been made by Michael, seconded by Brian, to add a 10-foot setback from the side of the building between lots 56 and 68. Any discussion on that further than what we've heard already?
I just have a question, a clarity question on what's happening with I don't fully understand what's happening with lot 56A and 68. What's the goal there?
I think I'm not sure, you said something about 56A and 56 are one parcel now.
To
Is that
lots?
correct?
So lot 68 is what has, so the corner lot is what is existing, and lot 56A and lot 68 are all one lot currently.
Okay.
So they're just proposing to add a lot around the building at 119 Second Avenue and revise the boundaries for 56, the corner lot.
Okay, so to remove the current structure at 119 to become a lot?
No, so the building
Just
will
lot
stay.
lines.
They're just adding a lot line around it. So
Oh, I
it's
see.
an invisible item.
Gotcha.
Just
the lot lines?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Understood.
And so, to this amendment that we're debating here, it looks like we're adding some lot square footage to the back where the parking was. The applicant mentioned that. Looks like they were pulling off of the side there where it says maintenance easement 10 feet. It's kind of dashed in there. That's where basically where we're saying the amendment would require that line to be moved to that 10-foot line right there. Not that one, the next one over that's hatched.
Right.
It says 10-foot maintenance easement right there. Okay, and it looks like that's existing today. So they maintain where that line is, it looks like. And that's,
So, Mr. Chair, in essence, lot 56, the corner lot would add the easement into its proposed amended new lot line. They would grab the easement.
yeah, it
That 10
look,
feet, that's
and the
what-
easement,
10 feet.
it looks like since it's a maintenance easement, you would never be able to build on that side anyways in the 10 feet. But, it's probably good to monumentalize it
Right.
in the lot line because easements change, maintenance easements even change over time, but the lot line would be monumentalized at that point. And this is our planning center, or planning commission representative here, so he's in the midst of this all the time.
It's either amended now or when I see it again.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, any other discussion on the amendment? Again, the amendment is to add a 10-foot setback to the side of the building between lots 56 and 68. Okay, let's vote on that. All those in favor of that amendment, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. We're back to the original motion now once amended, which is to provide a positive preliminary recommendation to the Planning Commission and that there be a 10-foot side setback added between lots 56 and 68 off of lot 56. Any other discussion on that? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor of that amended motion, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, that's settled. Thank you very much. I'm going to attempt to go to item number 2 again. Is this Michael Evans over here? All right. Let's go to item number 2, consideration of signage convenience sign at 118 4th Avenue North. Michael Evans, if you'll join us, we will hear from Ms. Boulay first, please.
The property located at 118 4th Avenue North features a circa 1910 frame pyramidal residential building and a rear parking lot accessible by alleyway. 4 convenience signs are proposed at the entry and exit points to the commercial parking lot. The signs are proposed to be 18 inches by 24 inches, or 3 square feet in sign area, and the signs are proposed to be mounted to a post with the top of the signs being 71 inches from grade. The guidelines recommend the following 4 convenience signs to be a maximum size of 4.5 square feet per side at a maximum height of 4 feet from grade. Where not visible from the right-of-way, convenience signs used for parking spaces may be up to 1.5 square feet and up to 6.5 feet tall. While the proposed sign height and size do not meet the guidelines, state laws were recently passed that regulate commercial signage for parking lots. In consultation with the law department, it is determined that the state law requires the signs to be installed and requires a higher level of visibility for the sign messaging. The proposed signs meet the new state laws. Staff recommends approval of the convenient signs with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Evans, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so sorry for being late. I even stopped for gas. I was so convinced this was 5:30, so I'm so sorry about that.
No problem.
Thank you for letting me come up late. This has been appropriately represented. It's like Groundhog Day again. I was here last month with a few. This is exactly what we're asking for. This application was submitted before the finial request, but I've already ordered them. So I'm prepared for that amendment. Ready for anything. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you very much. If you'll grab a seat. Any citizens want to comment on this one? Okay, I see none. Let's go to the commission for a motion, please, and keep in mind any conditions you'd like to add.
I will make the motion to approve with the same, he's going to do the black matted post with the same finial design.
Okay, so approval with staff conditions and include previously approved finial. Okay,
Or previous recommended. finial.
previously recommended finial. Is there a second to that motion?
I will second that.
Okay, Madeline, thank you very much. Any discussion? Okay, I hear none. Let's vote on the motion to approve with staff conditions and include the previously recommended finial. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much. If only every meeting we could go from item 2 to 6. I'll probably get an email from Bill next week about that one. Don't say stuff like that. It's a joke. All right, item number 6, consideration of alterations, principal building, and site alterations at 234 4th Avenue North. Daniel Kiedis? Kiedis? Okay. If you'll get ready, well, let's hear from Elizabeth first, please.
Thank you. The property located at 234 4th Avenue North is located in the downtown Franklin National Register Historic District and features a circa 1935 one-story, minimal traditional style building with Tudor Revival influences. The proposal includes a series of alterations to the principal building, alterations to the site, and modern features. The principal building alterations include the construction of a rear dormer, alterations to the rear entrance, rear stoop alterations, new lighting, and minor alterations to install new mechanical openings on the rear and less visible facades. For the rear entrance, 2 light patterns were included in the application submittal. The design and the colored renderings with the proposed 9-light pattern is appropriate for the age and style of the building. It is also recommended to save the existing door for future reuse if possible. For the deck, the proposed material is appropriate for the deck and railing. However, the horizontal railing design is not a traditional or common railing design. The front porch utilizes a simple metal railing with vertical balusters. The design of the horizontal railing is not appropriate. The use of a metal would also be appropriate for the railing as it is seen on the site. For the lighting, new fixtures are proposed in the covered porch and at the rear of the building. A specification has not been included at this time, but must be submitted for review to ensure the fixture is compatible with what is existing. For the modern features and site alterations, this includes the installation of the ramp on the rear of the building, an accessible walkway, and mechanical equipment and screening. For the mechanical equipment screening, while located within 20 feet of the front facade, the intent of the guidelines and zoning ordinance is to fully screen equipment from off-site, and the proposed opacity is appropriate to meet the requirements for screening. The proposed horizontal board design is not appropriate, however. The use of an opaque fence within the front yard is not recommended by the guidelines and is not commonly seen within the defined front yards of residential buildings. Alternative screening such as landscaping would meet the requirements for screening and better align with the guidelines. For the ramp, it is proposed location, material, and design minimizes the impact of this feature on the historic building. Staff recommends approval of the building alterations, site alterations, and modern features with conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. He said your name was Stan?
Sam.
Sam. Okay, what's your last name, Sam?
Green.
What is it?
Green.
Green. Oh, it's easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Welcome.
Good evening. So, yeah, what originally brought us to get COA was we were told that the property, because of the interior remodel the building owner originally wanted to do, we were told it was going through a change of occupancy from residential. We haven't gotten clarification yet on if in fact the original occupancy or existing current occupancy is officially residential or not. But because of the potential change of occupancy, what triggered us needing to get a COA was that requires providing an accessible entry on the rear. And so our proposal for that includes a subtle regrading of the rear of the site to provide a kind of side and rear to provide a 5% slope, which meets guidelines for an accessible route up to the entry. That would be a concrete sidewalk. And then by the regrading also allows us to minimize the additional landing that would be needed at the rear. And so then the rest of the route up is provided with a wood walkway and landing. And then that would have a kind of a walnut stain color applied to it. And we're also, we can change the design of the guardrail if that's the commissioner's, decision based on the conditions. But we did want to request the commissioners to consider approving the design of the guardrail as is with the horizontal slats. And then also for the dormer, we did lower where it meets the ridge based on the DRC meeting. We're proposing a metal roof there, standing seam, and then the windows there, the light patterns and proportions are designed to match the similar light proportions and patterns from some of the windows of the same size around the house. And these would be casement windows. And then the materials for the dormer are going to be wood trim painted white, and we also reduced the lap siding exposure based on the last DRC review. And then if it turns out that additional parking is required, we were hoping to kind of get your guys' insight on what would be the preferred method to add 3 parking spots if necessary. And then for the lighting, we do have a couple options that we brought today if that's able to be looked at. But if not, we can always, submit that later for approval as well for the lighting fixture on the rear.
Is the lighting submitted with the original application here?
It was not reviewed by staff yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and sometimes those can be staff approved to some extent. Okay, let's hear from any citizens who want to comment on this one. Okay, I don't see anyone. Let's go to the commission for a motion, please. Feel free if you'd like to make a motion for a particular portion, we can do that as well.
I was going to say, I'll make a motion to approve the dormer and the back entry ramp. And that would exclude the railings around the heat and air and the railing at the back.
Okay.
For discussion.
Screening and the guardrail in the back. Okay. But your motion does include the modification of the stone opening for the back door?
Yes.
Okay. And a question for staff, the green canopies, those, to demo those are a staff approval or?
They're there.
Yeah.
Are they staying?
It looks like from the renderings they're going away, but I don't know if that's something needs to be taken up. I don't think it was particularly listed, or do y'all intend on keeping those canopies, or are they going away?
It'd be more appropriate to remove them if you agree.
Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
Is that-
Awning removal can be administratively reviewed and approved.
especially on the back, and I think awnings can, okay. So those can be administratively taken care of. Okay, so we've got,
I would make my motion with staff comments that apply to
those specific
those
items.
specific items, yes.
Okay,
And that the roofing material come back to staff for approval.
okay. And roofing. It's a lot to write. Okay, I have the motion for approval with staff comments of the dormer, back ramp, rear door, modifications, and roofing to come back to staff for approval. Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
Okay, Brian, any discussion?
With the back door, didn't staff say that it should maintain the same grip pattern, or?
They said to keep the old door in case they ever go back. Is that the correct, what I heard? Okay.
Yes, and we recommended the light pattern that you see in the proposed, in this rendering, as opposed to the elevation drawings.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the ramp being made out of wood, does that meet staff condition, or?
I think it does meet the guidelines.
Does meet the
Guidelines?
guidelines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm curious if we ought not, there were staff conditions for the screening and the railing, and all, we could approve it, and they just have to build a version that staff recommends.
Yeah.
So, in that case, the motion would just be for approval of everything with staff conditions at that point, if that, does that sound correct? But we can amend this, you can amend a motion to just tune it up too. You don't have to add or subtract, you can just say, I'd like to amend the main motion by changing all the wording to, if somebody wants to do that. I think the intent was that we're not sure about the rails, but I think staff in the report gives them some options.
That's fine.
Okay. So does somebody want to make an amendment to that main motion, or would you all like to just withdraw?
I'll just withdraw.
Do you want to withdraw your second? And
And
then
we'll
Yeah.
just
you want to make a new
Yes.
motion? Okay.
make the motion to approve everything with staff comments.
Okay. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay.
I
Now
am,
let's do discussion. Go ahead.
I am curious about the ramp material holding up over time.
Yeah, I had a similar reaction when I saw it, and I was like, well, at least it's in the back, And
Yeah.
on residential, this is even if it becomes commercial, which is fine, it's still a house. So, on a house, I'm not sure I have as big a problem with it on the back, but love to hear from.
Okay.
I had the same reaction, like,
That's just
on a
fine.
commercial
Yeah.
building, but
Yeah.
it's a house.
I was thinking, why wouldn't you just do concrete?
Right.
But I don't have a problem because you don't see it and.
And it meets the guidelines, right?
correct. It
And I'm assuming that the steps that are there are being preserved.
They'll live underneath, if
And,
possible.
and they'll make repairs to the wooden ramp. And I think so many of our ramps, our handicap ramps are wooden that we've approved.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Any other discussion on this motion? Kathy?
Regarding ADA ramp, not quite sure if that meets all of the requirements. If it does go to a commercial zoning, they may require curbing and hand railing and such to make it meet those ADA guidelines, so they would need to verify that.
Yeah. I think there was some discussion about that last time, and the slope of the ramp dictates some of that, and the height off the ground. So I think Jared's definitely made some comments on that too.
That's correct. Most of that's still being worked out with staff.
Okay, yeah.
And what is the underlying zoning? Is it OR?
Office residential.
Yeah.
Okay. And it could revert back to residential at some time too. We don't know that.
Sure. Okay, any other comments? All right, we have a motion to approve with staff comments. Let's vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Thanks. Item number 7, consideration of alterations on a principal building at 1010 Fair Street. Amanda McCreary, I saw her come in. There she is. Emily, let's hear from you first, please.
Alrighty. So, the property at 1010 Fair Street is located within the Hinchyville National Register Historic District. The proposal includes the following: infilling the side porch on the left elevation, constructing a dormer on the left elevation, alterations to the rear of the building, and altering the attached garden shed addition on the rear. Staff recommends approval of the proposal with conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McCreary, I'll warn you, it's on 12.
Oh, so I can be loud. Hey, guys, it's Amanda McCreary, Chisel Workshop. Yes, since I've seen you at DRC, we made some alterations to the window patterns based on our discussions, and other than that, I don't have anything to add.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's have a motion from the commission, please. Oh, hang on. Any citizens want to speak to this one? Nobody ever wants to talk. All right, let's go to the commission.
I'll make a motion to
you.
approve with staff conditions.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Angela? All right, any discussion? I've got a question for the applicant here. This shed on the back, it's contemporary to what, the addition, or just after the addition?
I'm not entirely certain.
Okay. Does it have my question is, does it have a foundation of sorts?
It does,
Okay.
yes, it
'Cause
does. And a
in looking
six-panel
at
door.
everything, I keep wondering, like, as you have to build a floor in this thing, it looks like it's not doesn't meet the floor. And what happens? Are you gonna add an apron, or the siding gonna change, or?
It's not tilting, that's partly because I was trying to skew to get around the tree so you can see it. It's actually in great shape, and it does have a foundation to it, and it's solid. I would like to add the same detailing around the bottom, because we'll have to lace in anyway when we change the door to a window. And really, it's perfectly usable. We would just like to change the roof line to be more in keeping with the style of the house.
Yeah, I was just making sure we didn't end up with like a deck with siding down to the deck or something weird.
No, well,
It's hard to tell in the picture.
It is, and with the tree and the landscaping and the way it's hard.
Okay, thank you very much. Anything else, anybody? All right, let's take a vote. The motion is for approval with staff conditions. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. Okay, item number 8, I have a note here.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to recuse myself on this one.
Okay, thank you very much. This is consideration of demolition of an accessory non-historic accessory structure and new construction of an accessory structure and site alterations at 217 Fifth Avenue South. Ben McCreary is applicant, and we will hear from Elizabeth to start us off. Thank you.
Thank you. The property located at 217 Fifth Avenue South is located in the downtown Franklin National Register Historic District. The proposal includes a request for the demolition of a non-historic accessory structure, construction of a new accessory structure, and site alterations. For the accessory structure demolition, it includes a request to demolish the circa 1990 frame shed located behind the principal building. The structure is not historic and is listed as non-contributing to the National Register Historic District. The structure has been photographed and documented. The removal of the structure is appropriate and will not negatively impact the site or district. For the new construction accessory structure, the proposal includes a request to construct a new 1.5-story accessory structure. The site alterations proposed include an alteration to the material of the driveway at the accessory structure to create a parking pad and to install a new walkway from the structure to the principal building, and is appropriate. A picket fence is proposed in the rear yard. Additional details about the design of the fence, confirmed height, and placement are needed and may be eligible for an administrative COA review by staff. Staff recommends approval of the accessory structure demolition, new construction accessory structure, and site alterations with conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. McCreary?
Hey, Ben McCrary, Chisel Workshop. Since we saw this at DRC, we have taken off one of the dormers that was mentioned, and we have also provided some additional specifications for the garage door. And that's pretty much all that was changed.
Okay. And while you're up here, I'll ask you, do we know, we've got this accessory structure next to where this one will be. Do you have any idea how tall that eave is?
I don't, but it is.
Is yours shorter or taller?
The peak of it may be just, I think they're probably equal, because that thing's probably got about a 13-foot, 14-foot eave.
And yours is showing at 11.
11, yeah.
So you think your eave's shorter? That's what I'm asking. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. If you'll grab a seat, I do have a comment card from Miss Gail Haddock. If you'd like to come up and make comment, please.
Yes.
Good evening.
Hi, thank you. I'm Gail Haddock. Can you hear me? I live at 213 Lewisburg Avenue, but I own the property on the corner of 5th Avenue South and Church Street. And I'm not prepared for this. I didn't really realize this was coming up until about an hour ago. So I haven't read your more extensive comments. But, and I know I can't speak once the discussion began. So my concern is about flooding issues in that whole area. And I don't know if you all are aware of those issues, but they're complicated, they're unresolved, and I'm sort of downstream from all of that. And so that's really why I'm here, not knowing exactly, when it just said site alterations, exactly what that means. I would say I am concerned if the new accessory structure takes up a larger footprint, because that leaves less ground to absorb water. And also, I don't know if the topography, the elevation of the land will change, or if there's more additional paving. But this whole area, the whole thing is unresolved. William Banks has been working on this, and apparently some of the homeowners, maybe this one, and I think maybe this property has changed hands since we had all these meetings in like 24 and 25. I have, here with me, elaborate drawings that William Banks did, and I would have to, and some other property owners would have to sign off easements, which I have not done, and I do have I need to get with him. I have some concerns about that. I heard, 6 or 8 months ago from another neighbor who's helped us, someone with an engineering background that some of you all know, has helped us on this. And he said that one of these property owners has decided they would not give an easement. The city was going to put in a huge drainage system on private property, so we'd have to have an easement for that. So that is all. It's complicated, it's unresolved, and could be a real detriment to my property. So that's why I'm here, and wanted to make the commissioners aware of those. I mean, there's substantial problems there, and the other, when they redid the streets on Fifth Avenue in Lewisburg, put in new sewer. I could never really understand this totally, if in doing that, they put in new storm sewer drainage, which is part of the problem here. when we have excessive rainfall. So anyway, that's my concern that I want you all to be aware of. It affects me. The house next door to me is almost, well, it's a vacant property. It's owned by an elderly man who apparently is quite ill. He lives with his niece somewhere, and they do not maintain the yard. I don't think they even really maintain the house. So that's another sort of pitfall there, another unresolved problem in that area. And it all has a detrimental effect on me. So,
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Haddock.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else like to comment from the community? Okay, hearing none, let's go to the commission for a motion on this particular item, please.
I would move to defer till we understood the elevation of the lot. I, at one time, owned a place just with someone else just past where Ms. Haddock lives, and I really understand the severity of the water in that area. So I think for the city to give, or the applicant to give us some information on the elevation would matter.
Okay. Who seconded that? Was that you, Madeline?
Well, just for clarification, do you mean the topography of the backyard? Okay, then I'll second.
Okay. Okay, any discussion on the motion to defer? I'm trying to understand our place in all this, right? And our job is to judge these projects against the guidelines. And part of our charge is to review changes to the site, and this does change the site. I don't see any indication of what will happen to the grading. There will be some, and I'm also, ignorant to what requirements happen beyond us. Like, is there a stormwater submittal with the city? I assume there's some version of engineering you get passed through. Is that correct? So, yeah, if staff has any comments on that.
So for historic zoning, we don't include the engineering staff on reviews like this. They are included on building permit reviews, in which that will be reviewed, and all stormwater regulations and things like that will be
Right.
taken into consideration, but they aren't doing
Here.
that for
Okay.
historic zoning commission. That comes
So-
at building permit.
Yeah, and that's,
So it will be caught if,
yeah, there's
So
some
are any
mechanism,
issues.
somebody looks at that, and it's,
okay.
not that we're not sympathetic to it. it's
Staff is
just
already
not-
working on it, because we
Yeah,
heard
I'll
that. William
withdraw.
Banks is gonna take care of it if he gets everybody to sign the easement on it. But the increase in, with this new garage and impervious over the existing one is an increase. It
Yeah.
could affect the direct drainage in this existing applicant's backyard and maybe a little bit around it, but it's by far not gonna add to the problem that's already there, be it an insignificant amount of
Okay.
additional
Sure.
Then I'll
drainage in the area.
Well, and it's, like I said, the guidelines say nothing about people's backyard drainage. It's really not our department, and it's not what we have
Then I'll
purview over.
withdraw mine.
Not to say, if we feel like we don't have enough information to make a judgment with the guidelines in mind, then that's the purpose of the deferral. If we feel like we know enough about the guidelines and the submission to make a decision, then
I
we
was-
should take it up.
Yeah, I was doing it based on knowing what those
Yeah,
conditions are.
yeah.
I would like to make a comment that,
So I'll withdraw.
that if that doesn't get reviewed, it could become a domino effect with the neighbors having to make alterations in their backyard.
Right, and again, we would review those alterations to see if they fit the guidelines, not to see if the stormwater works best for that person or this person. It's just not our department.
Yeah.
You're saying you want to withdraw your motion for deferral. You seconded, so you have to agree to withdraw it. Or you can make the motion yourself and somebody else can second it.
No, I'll second that, but
Okay.
I would
Okay.
like to make a motion
Okay.
to approve with staff conditions.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion for approval with staff conditions from Madeline. Brian has seconded it. Okay, is there any discussion on the application specifically here in regards to the guidelines? Nobody?
I would say I agree with staff. It meets the guidelines.
Yeah. I agree with that. And to Ms. Haddock, appreciate your comments, and I hope those things get sorted. They are important. I will say that.
The only thing I would say about the design is the way the windows read. It looks like two separate windows. Is it meant to be a pair of windows?
In the dormers? Mr. McCreary, I think it's just a graphic representation. Those windows just have a space mull of trim.
Correct.
In the dormers. There's no line across the top, but
Right.
It's just,
oftentimes
double
dormers don't
hungs.
have any siding. They're all trim.
All trim.
On the front, so it just shows different.
and then, is it, one picture shows no transoms and another one shows transoms?
Where are you seeing the transoms?
Okay, that's no transom.
Okay. Talking about, there's the perspective of the garage in the background, if staff can pull it up.
Here.
And it shows a different garage door than the elevation.
It does.
The elevation is, since it has the note of the Clopay.
Right, that is just a very rudimentary model that Revit
Okay,
produces, and we,
you are recommending or requesting transoms?
yes, the kind of 1/4 and then 3/4.
Glass in the top.
I
Yeah.
would-
Mhm.
I would recommend it not have transoms. It's a simple house, no transoms.
So no glass in the garage doors? We've
Well,
reviewed a
There could be
bunch.
glass, they would just be down in the doors.
Well, that is the doors. That's the
Oh,
top of the
that's
door.
the-
There's 4 panels to the door, and the top panel is glass. Is that?
Correct.
Am I?
Oh, the proportions of that look odd to me then. Usually
Would,
a garage,
is it
how
the,
tall is that garage door?
8 feet.
which is, I think is just a standard height now.
Okay,
Yeah. We're so used to seeing
Then it's a
garages that
computer
people are pushing
problem.
really high and there's a bunch of siding
Yeah,
above them.
It's a computer.
This is probably closer to a historic size than.
Okay.
And maybe just a clarification, the horizontal lines that we see on the garage doors, they're just where they break when they roll up.
Correct, we're just showing yet that they are segmented doors, not
Yeah.
true kind of carriage doors.
So there's tall vertical panels in the bottom 3
I think
quarters,
it's
the
the
top's
computer.
glass. Okay. Any other comments? We do have a motion on the floor to approve with staff conditions. Okay, let's vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Our last item here is item number 9, consideration of new construction, signage, and refuse at Williamson County EMS, 110 Aldersgate Way. John Gore is the applicant, or whomever from that team wants to come up. Emily will do our staff report for us first.
Trying to let some of these images load before I.
A lot of images, which is good. We like pictures.
All right. So the property at 110 Aldersgate Way is located within the Franklin Road Historic District. The property is on the edge of the Historic Preservation Overlay and is considered to front the roundabout coming from Matt Catcher Memorial Parkway. Shared on the property are the Franklin First United Methodist Church and a collection of other buildings ranging from agricultural to residential uses. A new civic building, refuse area, and signage are proposed on the site and will serve as the Williamson County Emergency Medical Services Station. The proposed placement and orientation, building form, height, materials, details, and ornamentation, entrances, gutters, and downspouts generally meet the guidelines. While the proposed fiberglass windows do not exactly line with the guidelines regarding materials, they are similar to those on the adjacent Franklin First United Methodist Church building. The proposed lighting aligns with the guidelines for the appearance, but shall utilize a warm white light to align with the guidelines and be altered to only illuminate downward. It is proposed to construct a new refuse enclosure to serve the needs of the new building. The refuse area appears to meet the guidelines, and the applicant shall make sure that the refuse enclosure door meets the requirements of the zoning ordinance by utilizing self-closing doors or another way that is listed within the staff report. If a change is proposed, an updated COA may be required if it affects the structure's appearance. For the proposed signage, it is proposed to construct a brick and limestone monument sign in front of the building. It is proposed to be 4 feet 8 inches in height and 7 feet 4 inches in length. The sign is proposed to utilize black metal pin lettering in an unknown finish. The external illumination is proposed, but it appears that the fixture has not been included within the application. Within the guidelines, monument signs are not specifically noted as an appropriate sign type within the historic preservation overlay. However, the guidelines do provide general sign recommendations that include designing signs to respect and respond to the character of the property on which they are being placed and of the overall district, and select locations, sizes, and placement of signs to complement the building and other buildings within the district. While a monument sign is not a sign type that is recommended within the guidelines, this site and setting has some unique characteristics. It is on the edge of the historic preservation overlay, and its context is along Mack Hatcher and is not visible from Franklin Road. The monument sign appears to meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance, so the Historic Zoning Commission can ultimately decide if a monument sign is appropriate in this context. Should the Historic Zoning Commission deem the monument sign appropriate, the sign is recommended to utilize the dark metal lettering in a matte finish. The external illumination is recommended to be limited to soft landscape uplighting with an incandescent and warm colored lighting when possible. Should the sign be approved by the Commission, a sign permit shall be submitted and meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. Therefore, staff recommends denial of the monument sign based on the following ground: that the proposed sign type is considered an inappropriate sign type within the guidelines. But therefore, staff does recommend, should the Commission approve the monument sign, there are some suggested recommendations. But also staff recommends approval of the construction of the building and refuse enclosure with conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If you'll join us and introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lacey Fuller. I'm with TMP, the architecture firm that's working with the county on the design and development of this. John Gore, the applicant and civil engineer, is also here if there are any site-related questions, but it seems that most of the comments were kind of about the building and the sign and everything, so I'll speak to that. I will say that we've had several conversations with the city and tried to implement a lot of y'all's feedback regarding materiality at the exterior. I will say briefly regarding the sign to just consider the nature of the facility as an essential facility to serve its community. There's an element of safety of being able to identify it quickly if you need to get there. But otherwise, yes, we're open to suggestions and kind of meeting y'all halfway on that. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyone from the community want to comment on this one? Okay, I see none. Let's go to the commission for a motion. Let's start with the building itself. How about that?
Motion to approve with staff conditions.
Okay, Madeline, Bob, thank you. Any discussion?
I have concerns, I think we brought it up in DRC, having to do with if you look at the architecture of Franklin United Methodist Church, this is a mirror of the architecture of that building. And this structure is going to be located around 2,000 feet away from the church, which I don't really see the relationship to the actual church building. But what it does relate to is an agricultural building on the property, which is a barn where they have their giving garden. And I would have liked to have seen something architecturally more like something that's rural, even if it were in brick, but something that kind of reflects that rural character rather than something that reflects the church. And those are my comments.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Well, I would concur with what Brian said.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah, and there's even closer proximity. The closest thing is the barn, but just beyond the barn is one of the most historic houses in all of Franklin, buried back in the woods on this property. And it's closer to it than it is the church as well. So I hear you on that. I see the church does own this property, and they probably have some requirements in mind that they would want if it's going to be on their property for it to, bookend their two edges of the property. So I understand that. I don't know that this can't satisfy both of those things. Does that make sense? As it sits, it looks a whole lot like church and not much like the rest of the property. And when the church bought this property, they knew the historic structures on it. And I think that was part of the draw. So anybody else comments on this one?
Well, do you think the Gothic arch, if that was adjusted to be a little more conservative, that it would make a difference in the architecture of it?
Well, I'm kind of hesitant to get into design review.
Oh.
I'd rather see them come back and we discuss this more in a design review. But I mean, with the arches, I mean, it's definitely reflects the church. I mean, the very entrance to the church has that type of arch.
Right.
There's quite a few details that, look like a more
To be
civic
redeveloped.
building. Yeah, it's definitely very civic.
I just want to say that I completely agree with what you're saying, Brian. And really, when you think about the story of design, and as you're going out of town and you're seeing those fields, all of that was historically agricultural, horse farm, that sort of thing, out that way. It just really seems to me that it would be something to consider strongly, to have it look more like that history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the design process on this looks like it started with the church, and we're asking for it to be tuned more towards agrarian, and
Yeah.
really I think the proper approach might be start with agrarian and tune it towards the
I
church
think
a
so.
little. I
Yeah.
think it's just it's
Also, with the height of this building, it could lend itself to a barn-like or some type of agricultural-looking building.
Right, because to the applicant's point, with the purpose of this building, it needs to be visible and clear to anyone trying to get to it. Is there an amendment that should be made, or?
Well, we have a couple choices here. We have an open motion. We can try to amend it, or we can vote on it. If it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, we would still need to make just a different new motion. So we've got a couple different options here.
Mr.
We also
Chair.
have the option to defer it.
I move to defer
Okay.
to the next voting meeting of the Historic Zoning Commission and invite the applicant to DRC.
March 9th. Okay. Is there a second for the deferral?
Second.
Okay, Angela, thank you. Any discussion on why we should or should not defer this item?
Since this is a Williamson County project, how much leverage do we have with what they end up doing on the site?
I still think we have the ability to review it against the guidelines, certainly.
They have generally abided by the guidelines unless it was some very small detail has been their historic position.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I have a comment too, that, hearing other commissioners' input about it, I think it would be a missed opportunity if we didn't defer it to look at some other options to feature this building as part of the corridor into the city of Franklin and the agricultural aspect of it as well.
Sure.
I just want to make sure the applicant is clear on what we're looking to see at that point. At the
Yeah, I
DRC.
think we did give them some similar feedback at DRC. And in their, I would say they did take into account several things. So we, like Brian said, this isn't the forum to necessarily give them more feedback. We could do that at DRC, which is next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, they
Just
did
more of what to
receive
bring.
the feedback of maybe an agrarian, rural looking structure would be more appropriate. That was said last time.
The church is using this for the farmer's market and their giving garden. So that's been part of this church's mission.
Okay, we do have an active motion to defer to the March 9th voting meeting. Let's vote on that. Everyone in favor of deferral, please say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. This item will be deferred to next month, and we do encourage you to, I think they need to know by midnight tonight if you're going to come next Monday for some discussion. We'd encourage you to do that. It's always helpful for everyone. Okay. Okay. We don't have anything to go back to, right? Did I miss anything?
No.
Okay, staff announcements, anything?
We have just one, that the February DRC meeting is on Tuesday, February 17th, and it starts at 4 o'clock here at the Eastern Flank Event Facility, and that is due to Monday being President's Day, and the deadline to submit an application is this evening by midnight.
They don't get an extra day? It's a joke.
And the training is,
I do believe that training with the law department
March.
has been postponed. They were going to look to find a different date. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes.
Okay.
The elected appointed officials training, there were conflicts with certain officials going to different things.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I have a clarification on the last applicant's thing. What about the monumental sign?
Well, we did not, I guess. That's a good point. I mean, we did have a
I didn't
motion,
catch it.
motion to defer.
It's in the deferral.
Okay, yeah.
My comment to that would be include that sign so we can see how it affects the building.
Yeah.
In regard to location, massing, incorporating it all in.
Sure. Okay. Anything else, anyone? All right, I'll take a motion to adjourn when you all are ready.
So moved.
Angela, thank you. Second?
Second.
Bob? All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you all. Have a good evening.